Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Stuart Tom, immediate past president of the International Code Council Board of Directors and chair of this year's nominating committee. I'm delighted to welcome you to today's first ever virtual ICC Board of Directors Candidates Forum, which aims to provide a meaningful opportunity for you to learn more about this year's ICC board candidates and gain a deeper understanding of their vision and priorities. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge and thank the other members of the nominating committee. Each member was chosen because of their knowledge, experience, and commitment to the Code Council. Each of them has either served on the ICC Board of Directors in previous years or has otherwise been deeply engaged in ICC activities. In addition to myself as chair of the committee, we are joined by Alan Boswell from the state of Alabama, Lisa Hartwig from the state of Minnesota, Andy Lorenz from the state of Washington, and Tom Peterson from the state of Utah. This virtual forum is publicly accessible and is currently being recorded. And going forward, the recording may be viewed from this year's candidates webpage. Please visit the candidates webpage on the ICC website if you've not already done so to learn more about each of our candidates. During today's forum, each candidate will have an opportunity to address the viewers for 2 minutes, and then they will be asked a series of questions by the nominating committee. All questions asked today have been provided to the candidates in advance in accordance with the council policy. This year's candidates are exceptionally talented, and all of them are dedicated to advancing building safety and the mission of the Code Council. I'm pleased to introduce them as follows. Today we'll be joined by Mike Boso of Ohio, who is running for president. Steve McDaniel of New York, who is running for vice president. Michael Savage of Florida, who is running for secretary treasurer. Jack Applegate of Oregon, who is eligible for an at-large seat. James Brooker of Georgia, who is eligible for an at-large seat. Rachel Parrish of Texas, who is eligible for an at-large seat. Andy Higgins of Washington, who is eligible for an at-large seat. Jessica Fust of Montana, who is eligible for either Section B or an at-large seat. Ben Potoff of Iowa, who is eligible for Section B or an at-large seat. And David Molnar of Ohio, who is eligible for Section D or an at-large seat. At this time, we will give each candidate an opportunity to introduce themselves and share with you why they are running for the board of directors. Candidates, as I call your name, you will each have 2 minutes. Let's start with Mike Boso.
Thank you so much, past President Tom. So why am I running for the ICC Board of Directors? You know, it's been a passion of mine to give back to the profession that's given me so much over the years. So in my 34 years being here at the City of Grove City as a building official, it's an honor, I guess, to be able to do what I do. The support I get both from my local jurisdiction, from the local chapter, the state chapter, to propel me to where I am today. And it's many of you on this call also that have done that. So my reason for running is, again, to make a difference. Somebody has to do it. And collaboration with both the board members that have sat on the board with me, and also the past and future leaders of the organization have got me to where I am today, and I appreciate it. And it's a huge role, big shoes to fill. But again, I'm looking forward to it and prepared myself for this position. So thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Next, we'll hear from Steve McDaniel.
Well, good morning, everyone. Again, before I start, I want to thank the nominating committee of this. The change in the nominating committee process requires a little more dedication and time. So I know there's many of the nominating committee members that are on. I just want to extend a thank you for that, because it may be a little bit harder this year and a little bit more time consuming. So I want to thank you for your dedicated time. I'm running for vice president. Again, I want to continue to contribute at a higher level at ICC to advance our mission of advancing safe, efficient, and innovative building practices. I've been involved in this for almost, 3 decades, 30 years. I've served in all capacities in New York State, from a local chapter, all of the seats, secretary, treasurer, vice president, president, all the way up through the state chapter. And I'm currently the historian for the New York State building officials. And, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing it because it is time to continue those efforts at the level at ICC. Again, there's so many things that we can do to mentor others to get into this industry that we love so much. And I'm looking forward to continue doing that as vice president.
Thanks, Steve. Next, we'll hear from Michael Savage.
Well, thank you, past President Tom. And again, like Steve said, I'd like to thank the nominating committee as well as the membership for the opportunity to be here and participate in this virtual candidates forum. I too have been involved in this industry for starting my 32nd year. It has been a great industry, and it's definitely the reason I'm running for the board is I want to continue to contribute as well. I've been served everything from the local board to a state committee, all the way up to a regional board, and then finally was elected to the ICC board of directors. And it has been a very rewarding experience. It's great to see the membership, but it's also great to help lead an organization. And ascending to the executive committee is just a continuation of my passion to serve the membership of this organization. We always say the membership gets it right, and I truly believe that. And with their support, I plan on continuing that process all the way up to, again, secretary treasurer, and continue to serve in any capacity that I can. So thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Next, we'll hear from Jack Applegate.
Thank you. Appreciate the time and nominating committee's efforts. This is a busy year for them for sure, and a new process, and one that has been a challenge and tightening up the strings for it. But I really appreciate the time to be here. I have been in this business since the 1990s. I served on my first ICBO chapter board in 1997. I've had a service as a disabled military veteran. In my life, I've owned an adult foster home where I took care of 5 mentally handicapped and disabled adults. And so I've considered myself to be a servant and served people my entire life. And I think our world as a code official is exactly the same. We're serving the public, we're serving the membership, and we're serving life safety, which in my mind is a human right we should have all around the globe. I've really enjoyed my time working my way up through chapters and chairs and regional president. But some of the things I've enjoyed the most are serving with this board, learning from the past presidents, spending the time to get to know them, taking their advice, taking my lumps on the head when I deserved them and needed to do better in some areas. And I feel like I've done that. I'm excited about the future of the Code Council, all the work that we're doing internationally, all the work that we're doing with our tribal nations and our indigenous people across the planet. And I've been blessed to have a wife that is fully 100% supportive, and she's turned this into a hobby of hers as well, which is really required in your life if you want to be happy while providing dedicated service to the ICC board of directors. I'm also blessed as a CEO. I have the ability and flexibility of schedule that allows me to not miss a single meeting, to be on time every time, and to go to any location and any state that the president or staff has asked me to go to since I started on the board. So I'm glad to be here. I'm excited about the potential for re-election, and I want to thank you for the opportunity today.
Thank you, Jack. Next, we'll hear from James Brooker.
Thank you for this opportunity to nominate committee. This is a new experience for me. I am been serving my state and my region for 20 plus years now, and I'm running for director at large to have an opportunity just to give back to the membership. I've served every capacity on a local chapters to my state chapter in every chair. I've always been a workhorse behind the scenes. I'm not here for the glory. Try to promote individuals in my membership to the best of my ability to help them out when problems arise. I listen to them and then take action as needed. I look forward to being able to serve the membership at this level to be able to give back nationally, not just to my region or to my state, but nationally. And I look forward to this opportunity, and thank you again for the time.
Thank you, James. At this time, we'll hear from Rachel Parrish.
Hey, good morning. I'd like to echo the series before me. Thank you very much for your time, both members, nominating committee, and past President Tom. I have a pretty unique set of skills. That's the reason why I really want to serve this board. I am in love with this organization, and I have been since I started being involved with it. I get involved in pretty much everything that I can. I started on membership councils, and we got our local chapter and regional chapters up and running, and I've been working hard on those ends too. So I didn't start in code enforcement. I actually come from more of the business background. I do more budgeting and strategic planning. And when I see this open board position that could really use somebody for that, and I'm willing to do this for this organization. I just am thrilled to be here. I really appreciate all of you guys and the time that y'all take and dedicate to this organization, and I want to give back as well.
Thank you, Rachel. Next, we'll hear from Andy Higgins.
Good morning. Thank you for having us this morning. Thank you again to the nominating committee for participating in this event. Thank you for the membership as well for viewing, if you are viewing. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Andy Higgins. I'm currently the Customer Success Director in the City of Seattle. I took over that position about 1.5 years ago. I entrusted to build out a new division with a new strategic focus on helping customers through the permitting process and simplifying the permitting process. Prior to that, I was the Engineering Services Director for over 15 years, leading the construction permitting process in Seattle. I'm currently the immediate past president of the Washington Association of Building Officials. And earlier this year, I was honored and had the privilege to be asked to join and be appointed by the board to an open at-large position that had been vacated. And this has been the honor of my life. It's been quite the experience so far. It's been a little bit drinking from a fire hose, but I feel like I've been able to get up to speed quickly and hopefully contribute a bit. The reason that I'm running again is to stay on the board and hope to continue that service. I bring a background similar to Rachel with a master's degree in business administration, operations and strategic management. I've got a Lean Six Sigma background, I'm a master code professional, fairly recent winner of the recipient of the Emory R. Rogers Award, and I'm currently working on an executive certificate at Harvard University in public policy, which I'll wrap up hopefully February, March next year. So looking forward to continue on the board. Appreciate your support. Thank you for having us this morning.
Thank you, Andy. Next, we'll hear from Jessica Fust.
Hello, good morning. My name is Jessica Fust. I'm excited to be here, and thank you to the nominating committee for hosting us this morning. I'm excited to run for the board because I think I have a unique perspective. I spent my first 10 years as architect on the design side, and now I like to say I'm a reformed architect now on the code enforcement side. So I'm excited. I'm the building official for my hometown, and I'm really proud of that fact. And I've been doing that for 10 years now, and I love service. I've enjoyed everything that I've done with the state chapter and the regional chapters of ICC, and serving as a board shadow and a regional shadow. I think I can bring a unique perspective, just being having the 10 years experience on the private side, and then now doing the 10 years of service. I also went ahead and got my master's of public administration because, again, I just have fallen in love with the public service aspect of what we do. And I think I can lend a lot of that experience and knowledge to the board. So thank you again.
Thank you, Jessica. Next, we'll hear from Ben Potoff.
Yeah, thanks all. Appreciate you taking time out of your day, and especially the Noms Committee for spending all this time and effort getting it right. So the reason I'm running this year is a couple reasons really. And I saw a quote recently that inspired me, so I thought I'd share that. You're not really a leader until you've led others to become leaders. And so with what I've done here at the City of Dubuque is brought more than 30% of my team is active in the ICC. In terms of membership council, governing committees, code and standard development, and chapter leadership. And so I've led other people to become leaders, and I want to take the next step and help the ICC do what I do best, which is member engagement and growth. So I've been working actively with our chapters, the Eastern Iowa Construction Code Council and Iowa Association of Building Officials, to grow membership and engagement. Highlighting some of that success, we'll be showing up to Cleveland with 25 members this year, including 9 first-timers. And so many first-timers, in fact, that we're hosting our own first-timers event to make sure that our members are supported and have all the tools they need to find their path to be involved with the ICC, just as I had when I attended my first conference and stumbled into a room of great folks in 2011. So that's a little bit about me. I also come from a construction background, nearly 30 years of experience in the field, starting construction right out of college. And then at that age, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So construction became my outlet for creativity and doing things with my hands, and built a very successful business with a good friend of mine, but saw the inspectors coming in and critiquing our work and giving us advice and really being coaches in the field. And when I saw what they did, I thought it was a great field, and took the leap into that about 15 years ago now. So yeah, that's a little about me, and I look forward to this process. Thanks.
Thank you, Ben. And rounding out our field of candidates today, we'll hear from David Molnar.
Thank you, Past President Tom, and the nominating committee, as well as all the members. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the country. I do like this new format. I've sat through some of the candidate forums at the conference, and I think this gives some folks a better opportunity to get to hear us and maybe see us more than once. So this is a great opportunity. I am from Ohio. I'm an architect. Master plans examiner by day, building official by night and weekends. I do work in 2 municipalities, which is satisfying for me because my nights and weekends job is my hometown. And I feel very blessed to be able to provide input and some guidance for them. And they do appreciate having me. So that's always good. My day job is with Summit County. As I said, I'm a master plans examiner here. I have served on our local ICC chapter, 5 County Building Officials Association. Originally started as 3, became 4, and now we have over 15 of our 88 counties are members in our organization. Served there all the way through president, held that role for 4 years. One of those was the COVID years. There was also some other things that as a leader, you have to keep leading regardless of what's going on around you. While there, I've also served on our state chapter, the Ohio Building Officials Association, which is one of 3 ABOAs in ICC. We're going to have our own club. And I am currently their president. My term is coming up. So what's the next step for me? And the next step would be national and to be involved. And having gone to all the ABMs since 2017, when it was last in Ohio and Columbus, I just enjoy this. I love meeting people. I love being, as my niece calls me, a pollinator. Well, I'll bring 2 people together that I just met and said, there's a common interest here. You guys need to talk. It's just so cool to see us all in the same arena, and we all understand what we're doing. So thank you. Really appreciate this and look forward to it.
Thank you, David. And thank you all for letting us all get to know you a little bit better. We will now begin the question and answer session. Only nominating committee members will be asking questions of the candidates today. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes to answer each question. Nominating committee members may ask follow-up questions, to which candidates will have 1 minute to respond. We will now begin. Let's start with Mike Boso. Mike, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Boswell, will you please take the first question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Bozo. And looking toward the future, is there a particular issue or initiative you'd like to address with the CEO? And if so, how would you do so?
I guess, a big issue that we've just recently went through, hiring a new CEO. So one of the issues that will be discussed will be succession planning. It's something we've already spoken about somewhat, but to determine, who's coming up next and developing leadership within the organization is a big part of what I see in the future. And also working closely with our strategic partners to continue that relationship, build those relationships. So if there ever is a need or working with common goals to get things accomplished is a big part of what I see coming up with the CEO.
Ms. Hartwig has the next question.
Mr. Bozo, where do you see ICC in the next 5 years?
So in the next 5 years, anybody who's been around for the past, I'm going to say 15 years, have really seen ICC accelerate itself and broaden our footprint. And with the acquisitions that we've made to help, I guess, the co-profession business to make it stronger and reaching out. But now that we've done that, in the future, we need to make sure that they're all working together and we continue to be that leader in the world when it comes to building safety. So with everything that has been accomplished, it's focusing to making sure we're at the top of our game with each one of those facets, each one of the family of solutions, that they're working together to give the membership and the organization the opportunity to lead and to stay at the top of that game.
Thank you. Mr. Lorenz, you have the next question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Boso, how would you prioritize your board service into your personal work and other commitments?
With my 34 years of experience being at the same location, it does give me the ability to have a lot of flexibility. My organization is very supportive. So when it comes to scheduling and being available, it's sometimes I tell my boss, you can say no occasionally. He never does. He understands the role. And when I'm out, I always bring something back. Plus, I'm always still connected. So when it comes to, balancing that, I've been doing it for years and being at the same location, also being at this is my hometown. This is where I grew up. I understand it. I know I'm established. So it makes it a whole lot easier to, I guess, prepare myself either when I'm going out of town or when I'm out of town or having to serve, in this capacity to have that ability. So I don't see it as an issue at all.
And finally, Mr. Peterson has the next question.
Thank you, Stuart. Good morning, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning. As you step into your role as president of ICC, how do you feel your roles and responsibilities change from your past service on the executive committee as well as an ICC board member?
So, each year you serve on the board. you have a better understanding of the organization. But as you get to this position, you realize, especially once you step up to the executive committee, you have so much more involvement with the CEO, the direction, the goals, and establishing those so we can work together and accomplish them, prioritizing. So stepping into this next role, I've prepared myself for this. I've seen great leadership ahead of me, and Dave Spencer especially has been very supportive to keep me up to speed, to help me get there, and will continue in that role. I have the utmost respect for those who served before me, and plus the respect of the board that serves, with me. I see it as a big role, but you're at the top. You have to be that leader. You have to, again, prioritize, and you're going to have those discussions with the CEO a lot more than anyone else. And it's making sure that you're on the same page, working together, collaborating to get things accomplished and keep the momentum going.
Thanks, Mike. Are there any follow-up questions from the committee? Seeing none, we'll move on. Next, we have Steve McDaniel. Steve, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Boswell, will you please ask Steve his first question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. McDaniels, I'd like to ask you the same question that I asked Mr. Bozo. In looking toward the future, is there a particular issue or initiative that you would like to address with the CEO? And if so, how would you do so?
Well, I would start probably by saying all of us have traveled, and if you've ever overpacked, right, where you have to put so much in your suitcase, you have to sit on it to zip it up. That's how I relate to this question. There's so many things that we're doing at ICC. I couldn't necessarily narrow down one particular one that hasn't been addressed. Our CEO has done a phenomenal job hitting the ground running, and the amount of things that this board has done. But to try to answer the question and pick one, I would probably say that I would work with our CEO to enhance our ICC digital codes and member engagement strategies. This would improve access to resources, simplify code development adoption, and strengthen collaboration across jurisdictions. And I would approach that by gathering member feedback, studying best practices, and of course, developing a clear roadmap for innovation that aligns with ICC's mission and long-term goals.
Thanks, Steve. Ms. Hartwig, you have the next question.
Mr. McDaniel, where do you see ICC in the next 5 years?
This question comes up a lot. And for me, in 5 years, I see the company continuing to grow as a leader in the built environment, expanding our market presence, and leveraging innovation to stay competitive. If we continue to have a strong focus on customer satisfaction and adapting to changes in market trends, I believe that not only will the company, scale its operations, but it'll also strengthen its brand and reputation globally. We've done that a lot. I know our members have seen it. Again, I think you may see a little more in the future. We may focus a little more domestically than globally in the next 5 years. But again, it's also very hard to predict. It's going to depend on where the market goes, where we see our competitors go. But again, that's where I see us in about 5 years.
Mr. Lorenz, that's the next question.
Mr. McDaniels, good morning to you, sir.
Morning.
How could you serve as a link between the ICC organization and the current membership, or between the ICC organization and new potential members?
Well, for those on the call that know me and have had an opportunity to personally get to know me, I'm a connector. That's what I do. So it's very germane to your question. At any event, if somebody grabs me and asks a question, I'm always the kind of individual that's going to go out of my way to make sure that their needs are met. So that's the short answer to the question, Andy, is I connect with everybody. I continue to make sure that I try to make myself available and as transparent as possible, both on the professional level and even the social level. You'll see many of us out even in the social events that we have at ICC. And I'm one of those individuals that we all have in our hometowns that if something happens, that's the person that you turn to. We'll call so-and-so. I'm that so-and-so for so many people. When something happens, we're going to call Steve, find out. So I'll always connect. I'll always be transparent. I'll always collaborate with our membership. I'll always reach out for our membership. I try to attend every regional meeting, chapter meeting, or visit that I can. The schedule does get very busy once you reach the executive committee level at ICC. My schedule looks more green than it does red, but I've explained to my work here that that's just a fallacy. It doesn't take that long, but they're very supportive. So again, Andy, it's reaching out to the membership and staying in connection at any level that I can.
And Mr. Peterson, you have the last question.
Thank you. Good morning, Steve. It's a pleasure to see you and be in your presence again. As a member of the executive committee and as you step into the role as vice president, what do you feel is your role to build the confidence and the trust between the ICC board of directors and the executive committee and the ICC staff?
No, and Tom, that's a good question. Again, it's the same type of thing. It's fostering on communication and transparency and mutual respect, between board members and the executive committee, between board members and staff, between the executive committee and staff. And that means, ensuring a clear alignment of our goals, regularly sharing our progress and our challenges. I mean, we also have to share our challenges. We can't hold those back. We have to be transparent on both sides of the organization, and actively listening to all perspectives, not just the ones that you want to listen to. And again, I've always done that. I've tried to be a mentor to many of my colleagues that are on the board throughout my tenure on the board. And I would also encourage a collaborative problem solving and recognize the contributions of staff as we continue our journey with ICC, so that trust grows both consistently and it would demonstrate our support of the ICC mission. And it's good to see you, Legislator Peterson.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. Are there any follow-up questions from the committee? Seeing none, we'll move on. Next, we have Michael Savage. Mike, are you ready?
Yes, sir, I am.
Mr. Boswell, will you please take the first question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Savage, good to see you again. We'd like to know why you're running for Secretary Treasurer and what you'd like to accomplish if elected in your term on the executive committee. What would you like to see accomplished?
Sir, well, thank you for the question. I'm running for Secretary Treasurer because I want to continue to pay back or pay it forward with the membership. The membership has been great over my 30 plus years of doing this work. And I want to be able to make a tangible impact, not only on the organization, but also for the membership that I serve in that organization. I hope to contribute some new ideas, drive some strategic decisions as an executive committee member, and I also want to continue to develop the valuable skills that will help lead the Code Council in a high-level environment, as well as continue to inspire and develop that next generation that we've heard about through other questions, that next generation, and to help them to develop to become Code Council board members as well. From the administrative side, on the executive committee, definitely see the Code Council's footprint continue to expand, not just in the United States, but also around the globe. I had a great effort or a great chance to sit with CIBC a while back at the ASHRAE conference, and that was very, very well received, eye-opening experience for me as a board member. But those are a couple of things that I would like to see moving forward.
Ms. Hartwig, you have the next question.
Mr. Savage, what do you think is ICC's most concerning immediate issue, and how would you address it?
So that's actually a really good question. So intellectual properties is always the easy one to pick at, right? So intellectual property is something that we spend a lot of time and effort and revenue in developing. We develop our codes and standards through process, and then when they go out on the web, they become intellectual property. But I think one of the things that has actually been missing a little bit from that conversation is also how AI can affect those intellectual properties as well. So AI doesn't always worry about a licensing agreement, doesn't always worry about the ability to get some type of collaborative agreement between two organizations. So there's a propensity there for an unauthorized use through an AI, which would infringe upon the ICC's intellectual properties. One of the ways that I would like to see that handled, or one of the ways that I would ask for that to be handled, is obviously go through the ICC legal team and see if we can get some type of DCMA takedown notice or a report to the platform that's hosting it, letting them know that there has been infringements on our intellectual properties, and hopefully be able to correct things of that nature. But for me, especially with an AI developing world, that seems to be one of the things that is in the forefront, because we want to use AI, we want to use AI for better platforms, but also we have to remember that sometimes AI is not looking at copyrights or infringement protections.
Mr. Lorenz, the next question is yours.
Mr. Savage, how would you serve as a link between the ICC organization and the current membership and new potential members?
That's a great question, and I actually thank you for that. I actually really appreciate that question. One of the things that I do is when I'm at the ICC conference, I am just like Secretary Treasurer McDaniel said, I am out networking with the membership. I want them to, I want to be approachable. I want them to know that they can come talk to me. And second, I want to be transparent. I want them to know what the process is to not only become just a member of ICC, but also a possibility of getting involved in membership councils, in ICC ES managers or IAS. There's a lot of areas there where I think membership has some questions. So I would definitely seek to become a mentor, and I have been a mentor to several people going through my career on the board, as well as being on the local and state and regional committees. But absolutely being open, being available, and definitely invoke some active listening, because it's always easy to give just a quick answer, but I've gone as far as to actually develop or find resources that we had available that nobody knew was there and existed, and present that to them. So I would definitely want to, I definitely go out of my way to engage with the membership, including locally. I attend many chapter meetings that I am not a member of, because I want that reach to be out there. So if there are questions, they have an avenue to get those questions answered.
And Mr. Peterson, the next question is yours.
Thank you, Stuart. Mr. Savage, it's great to see you again, my friend. As you potentially step into the role of the executive committee, how do you feel your role in being a builder of ICC will change?
So that's actually a good question, because the executive committee has a little more reach. It's a little different than what we see as a standard board member. The most significant difference between what a board member does and what an executive committee does, the board of directors holds the ultimate governance, the long-term strategy, policy oversight of the Code Council. We vote on that as board members. The executive committee, however, acts on matters not specifically delegated to the board, but also empowers to handle urgent decisions and things that are deemed prudent that we don't have time to get a full board meeting together, as well as to bring some of that strategic guidance or strategic, long-term strategic policy provisions to the board as a whole. So one of the things, the biggest significant difference I think that I hope to make is provide some of that strategic guidance. That's one of the things that when I went and got my MBA, I really gravitated to, because I do that here in my own department, but also make sure that I bring that as a secretary treasurer and have those open and frank conversations with the rest of the executive committees and the CEO, and then discuss that with the board when the time is available. But that is a couple of things that I see.
Thank you, Mike. At
Yes,
this
sir.
time, are there any follow-up questions from the committee? Seeing none, we will move on to Jack Applegate. Mr. Applegate, are you ready?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Stewart Tom, sir.
Very well. Mr. Boso, will you please ask the first question? I'm sorry, Mr. Boswell. Mr. Boso can ask it if you would like. Mr. Boswell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jack, got a question for you here. I know the board's working on its strategic vision 2030. What are some of the concepts you would like to see in this strategic plan?
Well, thank you, Alan. It's great to see you again, sir. You know, we just finished up the strategic plan work, and so that's been published on the website, and it's readily available for Code Council members to take a look at that. You know, once that plan has been developed and has been put in place, you know, staff then goes to work and kind of refines all of those items and begins to make progress on that. However, there are things I think that need to be done or should be considered that still are in alignment with that plan and specific items. So one of the things that I would love to see us do is work on an impactful and large financial investment by ICC in the future generations of code officials who are attending community college code official programs and building inspection technology, fire prevention, all of the areas where we are clearly short the people that we need in our industry to fill the gaps and to meet the goals in Safety 2.0. I'll give you an example of that. Let's say ICC invested $250,000 into an endowment fund or a trust fund that could be divvied out to community colleges. That $250,000 at a typical and conservative 4 to 5% distribution rate, that could yield a potential $12,500 per year to pay for community college scholarships. So when you're looking at just one endowment of that type, that's 5 or 6 community college students per year in perpetuity, meaning that they would never take away from the original fund. They would only use the funds off the investment monies that were made off that fund. And there's a typical and very successful example of that at Chemeketa Community College in Oregon, where they have a $25,000 fund that is put into the community college's overall endowment. And the power of that endowment and the size of it allows them to provide 2 full scholarships a year to students in perpetuity, meaning they would never have to add another dime to that scholarship fund. Now that ICC has reached a level financially that we have and the security that we have, I think it's time to start looking at more ways that we can reach those goals. I'm sorry, was that?
Yep, time's up, Jack.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Hartwig, you have the next question.
Mr. Applegate, when you think of ICC's mission, which value do you feel is most important and why?
Well, I think the most important value in our ICC mission is the value of trust. You know, we have to have trust from the membership. We have to have trust, as you've heard earlier from our executive committee members, talking about how there has to be trust in the executive committee, trust from one board member to the next. But when it comes to the higher level of the overall products and services of the International Code Council, there has to be trust in our 501c6 nonprofit status, trust that we're not a biased organization to any particular industry, fuel type, product, any of those things. And without trust, the governments locally at the state and federal and international level, why would they trust the International Code Council to do business or to be the trusted resource for the products and services and solutions that ICC provides? So for me, trust is the key. But in the end, you know, that value has to be backed by strict compliance and faith in our fiduciary duties that lead us as board members into making the best decisions that lead us to the best values that are listed on page 10 of the Guide to Board Service published by the International Code Council.
Mr. Lorenz, you have the next question.
Good morning, Mr. Applegate. It's always a pleasure.
Good morning, sir.
Where you're seeking a new term on the board of directors, what do you feel are your biggest contributions thus far?
Thank you, Andy. And that's a great question. You know, when we start looking at the contributions we can make as a board of director, to me, the first and foremost, the biggest contribution I had was working with my fellow board of directors, both away from the board meeting and within the board meeting. That means communicating ideas, sharing thoughts, preparing before a board meeting to be ready for that. And so that's really important. I think over the last 3 years, under the leadership of the last 3 presidents, we've seen a board that is closer now, more united now, probably more professional in some ways with less outside of the boardroom conversations that are negative. And so I'm really proud to be a part of that and proud to be mentored by those individuals. But when it comes to outright contributions that I personally have made, it has to be my work with the indigenous tribes. You know, going back to 2017, I was working on trying to get tribal chapters in ICC and get code adoption within the tribes that I work with. And now last year, President Spencer, through his leadership, we now, with the board's work, have approved the Indigenous People Chapter designation. The NACO chapter was approved by the board. I've been working with them day in and day out, helping them acquire up to almost $40,000 in donations now. They have up to 23 nations that are going to be present next week in Chandler, Arizona, when I'm there for the next get together that we're having. And what this does, and why I'm so proud of it, is it changes the lives of tribal members across the planet. For the first time in history, many of them will have a good job, good insurance, and the opportunity to pass along generational wealth through home ownership to their families. And watching the NACO members thrive, watching their board come together, watching some of the creative things that we're about to announce from ICC has been both an incredible moment of pride for me, but also something I'm proud of that contribution. And so none of these things could have happened, though, without looking, listening, and paying attention to the presidents before me that have really turned me into the best board member I can be.
And Mr. Peterson, you have the last question.
Thank you, Stuart. It's good to see you, Jack. Currently, the ICC Board of Directors is only allowed, members of that board are required to be governmental member voting representatives. In your opinion, what are some of the pros and cons to expanding that to other ICC members?
Well, thank you, Representative Peterson. That's a great question, and I've seen this come up quite a bit in the last 3 to 5 years of interviews, you know, the first 2 times around. And while we might believe that in some ways, if you're on the outside looking in at the board, that let's say we have an architect or an engineer or a scientist who's heavily involved with gas and hydrogen fueling, those are great qualities and those are great technical needs that ICC has. However, I don't believe we need them on the board. I believe that governmental voting members, ICC members, those are the ones that should be filling the makeup of the board. We don't have an outside interest that could be even perceived as being something that was inappropriate. And so perception is just as big as actual in our world today, unfortunately. And so regardless of, you know, how somebody's actions and behaviors are on that board, if they're from an industry that sells widgets, every time something comes up for or against widgets, there's going to be assumption that things aren't fair, and whether that's true or not. But I will tell you this, ICC has the most outstanding, most professional, most technically dedicated and qualified staff that I could possibly imagine. In so many areas, they bring us expertise. And when I follow my fiduciary duty, and I look around at my fellow board members and I know that we're not getting quite enough information or we're not quite comfortable with what staff has brought us, in reality and in practice, as a board, we reach out and go find outside sources who are very specific experts in any field you could possibly imagine. And that includes from legal law, business law, what we're doing with our bylaws, where we're at in Delaware. And we go find those specialists. And the board takes all of that information, following our duty of obedience and loyalty and care, and making sure that we use that information to make the best decisions for ICC. And it's really hard to argue against the success of the International Code Council in the last 2 decades. We're at a better place financially, technically, and in markets around the world than we have ever been. And so I think we can keep with what we're doing now. Thank you.
Time's up. I actually have a follow-up question to that, if you don't mind, Mr. Applegate. You're correct. This issue has come up many, many times in the past. And one of the questions that is always asked is, ICC serves and our members include people other than governmental voting members and governmental employees. Our membership and our services provide tools for users and others, yet they don't have a seat or voice on the board. Based on your response to Mr. Peterson, how would you recommend that the opinions and perspectives of those individuals who are also ICC members are adequately represented in board decisions?
Well, thank you, Past President Tom, and I appreciate that follow-up question. And I thought a lot about this as well. There's members out there, and some are third-party members that work for companies like ours that, they're doing that job every day within a jurisdiction, and they're just not listed as one of the voting members. And so we have to explain to them that this is an issue of fairness, and that certain size populations get a certain number of votes, and that's what we have done, and it's been successful. But what I really like to make a point of is to all those members out there, being on the board is not the only way to do the great work and to get your opinion across. Look at Allison this year, who proposed a bylaw change to the Code Council. Look at those who have been assigned and volunteered to committees. Look at those assigned to ad hoc committees that ICC has formed on battery and ESS storage, on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And look at all the involvement they've been able to have. They've made major changes to the International Code Council by guiding our board of directors in the decision-making process. And so they can always reach out, they can communicate, and they can try to pass bylaws.
Thank you, Mr. Applegate. Before we move on, are there any other follow-up questions from the committee? Seeing none, we'll move on to James Brooker. Mr. Brooker, are you ready?
I am ready, sir. Thank you.
Very well. Mr. Boswell, will you lead off with the first question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Brooker, I have a question for you. How do you plan to be transparent to the members while maintaining your duty of confidentiality as a board member?
That is a great question. One that when I take under advisement and the important information that a board member serves, board member talk is board member talk. I have to keep that confidential to the board. There are certain things that cannot be given to the membership currently, and have to express that to my membership that while the board may be talking about certain things, I cannot provide any information until further notice.
Very good. Ms. Hartwig, you have the next question.
Mr. Brooker, as a member of the board of directors, what are the 3 most important responsibilities that you must fulfill?
The 3 most important responsibilities as a member of the board is to ensure fiduciary success of the organization, to set policy and procedures and give direction to the membership. And then after giving direction, be responsive to the membership and its needs, be actively listening and responding as needed.
Mr. Lorenz, you have the next question.
Thank you, Stuart. Mr. Booker, it's kind of a 3-part question. What do you believe are the business principles upon which ICC was founded? And are these important today as they were in the formation of ICC? And then in what ways would you, as a steward of the ICC organization, exercise a duty of care when considering difficult decisions that will affect the future of the organization?
Great question. The business model that was put together was to ensure high level of safety for individuals that use our code, our communities, design professionals, And I think that when they first put those models together, they done a great job. You know, from time to time, things need to be addressed. We need to look at it. As a board member, it would be my duty to review those to better enhance the board of directors, the membership, to make sure that all principles that we are founded on are followed throughout.
Thank you. And finally, Mr. Peterson, you have the closing question.
Thank you. Welcome, James. It's good to meet you. With 65,000 members of ICC, there's always differences of opinion, and sometimes we, as a membership, strongly believe in one thing, and other members of our organization strongly oppose the same thing. As an ICC board member, what do you think your role in developing standards that can be strongly opposed or strongly supported by vast portions of our membership?
That's a great question, and you're right. Everybody has an opinion, whether it agrees with your opinion or not. And so we have to listen to those opinions. And I know that the membership will always do what is right. As a board member, my job is to listen to the membership and to do what's best for the organization as a whole.
Thank you, Mr. Brooker. Are there any follow-up questions from the committee? Seeing no hands, we'll move on to Rachel Parrish. Ms. Parrish, are you ready?
I'll tell you what, these don't get any easier. I thought they would, but I'm about as ready as I can be.
Very well. Mr. Boswell, will you please start off?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Parrish, I got a question. Can you identify any new or current trends in the built environment that needs to be an interest to ICC?
Man, that's a pretty broad one. A whole slew of them. AI that we brought up is up and coming. It's a huge one. We have the energy code that is pretty divisive across the country. We have single stairs that are up and coming through everything. We have the pull of from the state and federal level of authority from jurisdictions. There are an unending number of concerns that ICC should have, and it's really just a matter of prioritizing them and how we want to attack them.
Ms. Hartwig, you're up with the next question.
Ms. Parrish, how do you plan to be transparent to the members while maintaining your duty of confidentiality as a board member?
So actually being a board member, it's incredibly easy to know which parts you can't talk about because you're in executive session. So that one is probably one of the best questions y'all can ask me because that has a straight line in the sand, doesn't it? So executive session, I'm sorry. I would love to disclose it as soon as I can. I will, but at this time we can't. Anything outside of that, I am more than thrilled to talk about.
Mr. Lorenz, you have the next question.
Ms. Parrish, the code professional generally does not receive the support to participate in the professional association serving its industry. What can be done to change that? And then given that issue and the lack of candidates seeking board positions, how would you expand the scope of qualified and diverse board applicants?
So ICC already has a lot of programs to help support the membership getting involved. We have the Code of Honor that will help people get to conferences, the Building Safety Leadership Experience that I know people in my building have used to get involved in ICC. membership councils are a great way to be involved and go start attending some of the events that ICC has. And you can go and get your chapter benefits if you're very involved in your chapter. So ICC has a lot of these programs already in place that people don't necessarily know about. So it may not even be a matter of creating additional opportunities. It may be creating better advertising strategies. This year, we made a real push membership council wise to get the Code of Honor scholarships out, the knowledge of them distributed. And I mean, we were preaching to the winds, and I know that the board of directors helped a lot with that too, going to all of the chapters and letting them know. And this year, if I'm correct, I believe that this year is the first year that we had more applicants than we could give scholarships for, which is absolutely amazing. So to me, I think the advertising part of this is a big portion of what we're missing in these programs, because a lot of these programs are already available. And as far as the board candidates, a lot of what we're doing now is we're getting people who, I mean, myself included, we don't have the 20 years of experience in ICC before we're putting our name forward. And a lot of that is because we're the ones that are coming up through the ranks. We're the ones that are involved in membership councils. We're the ones that are involved in code development. We're the ones that are involved in exam development. And getting people involved at that level is the way that you're going to get more of these board members, these board applicants running. And so really the push is not necessarily to get somebody to run for the board, but to get involvement at the lower levels and get people involved there, when I know we're struggling with getting people involved right now.
Thank you. Mr. Peterson, you have the next question.
Thank you. Good morning, Rachel. It's great. Thank you for being here. Great to see you this morning. In some of our states across the country, the term international creates some hesitation in code adoption. As if you were to get on the board, or as you ponder getting on the board, what do you think ICC's mission should be with growing internationally? Do you think that's something that we should continue to drive and support, or do you think there's an opportunity to pause that?
I think that it's very important to continue the international strategy. That being said, I think there is probably an international strategy that's not publicized right now, which I can't even disagree with, because in general, overall strategy and penetration international markets is probably not a good idea to publicize. So I imagine there is one in place. That being said, I would love to go over it because it needs to be very planned out. We are international just by definition. We are participating in other countries. We are involved in other countries. But I think really the direction that we are really looking for eventually heading towards is more of a multinational instead of international, having our hubs in other countries where we are growing our business to incorporate the culture of the countries that we are in, and not just dipping our toe out into the industry. So as far as the international, yes, I think that is absolutely our next step. Does that mean that we abandon domestic? Absolutely not. There are absolutely things that we can do here domestically as well. But to ignore the international part of this altogether, I think would be a mistake from a business perspective.
Are there any follow-up questions for Ms. Parrish from the committee? Seeing no hands, we will move on. Next,
thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Andy Higgins. Mr. Higgins, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course. Mr. Boswell, will you get us started?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Higgins, do you believe the current makeup of the board is sufficient, or would you reorganize it to include other types of backgrounds or skill sets?
Thank you for the question. I actually, being so new to the board and learning about everything that I've learned about thus far, I actually agree with what Director Applegate said earlier about how well this board functions together and how open-minded and representative this board is, and all the membership. It's been fascinating to be able to see all the special interests brought in, all the studies that are done, all the deep dives into information, to try to gather the best information from the best sources to be able to have the board be able to make the best decisions possible for the entire membership. It's been a short period of time that I've been involved thus far, but it's been fascinating to see, and I really appreciate the level of effort that the board is taking and that the ICC staff take to be as open as possible to gathering as much information as possible. I do agree that the board should remain, like Director Applegate said, governmental voting representative members or member representatives. And I think that at this point that is the case, but in the future, I think it's always good to continue to revisit those concepts periodically and keep an open mind to that.
Thank you for that. Ms. Hartwig, you have the next question.
Mr. Higgins, as a member of the board of directors, what are the 3 most important responsibilities that you must fulfill?
So thus far, I believe that the first and foremost is to be open-minded enough and transparent enough to be representative of the membership. I think you have to not just take your own personal biases into these decisions, but to be open to learning and listening and collaborating with as many people as possible to be able to really look at the decisions that you're making, the vote that you're taking in terms of how well it represents the membership as a whole. I believe there was a question earlier about some divisive issues and some things that split the membership somewhat down the middle. And I was always taught by my mentor, John Sue, that you really need to vote your conscience in those cases and go with what your heart believes. So having the ability to go in and be open to to learning and be level-headed and trustworthy, I think is number one. Obviously, you have a fiscal responsibility to the organization and to the membership, and really looking at the sustainability of the organization. And then I think the third is being open, transparent, building relationships. I think that you're building trust. To what Richard Parrish said earlier, obviously there are things that are strategic issues that we have a competition that undermine our strategy that you can't share, but to share as much as we can. It's important.
Mr. Lorenz, you have the next question.
Mr. Higgins, nice to see you. What do you believe are the business principles upon which ICC was founded? And are these principles important today as they were when in the formation of ICC? And in what ways would you, as a steward of ICC, the ICC organization exercise a duty of care when considering difficult decisions that will affect the future of the organization?
Yeah, that's excellent. I think, honestly, I believe that the organization has evolved significantly in the last 30 years. I think the original goal was to bring the 3 model codes together and create a single set of national model codes that they could produce and sell throughout the country, and hopefully have local adoption be consistent throughout the country. I think they found during the Great Recession that over-reliance on code sales was not the best strategy. Had too many of the same eggs in one basket. And I believe that since then, the organization has done an extremely good job at diversifying revenue streams and then feeding those revenue streams back into member benefits. I think the thing that I'm noticing now and going forward is to, in conversations with the board and the CEO, is that that one of the risks is that you become complacent in how well we're doing financially, and you could potentially get bypassed by a competitor or multiple competitors to involving technology or other factors. And I think the key now is to really stay agile and nimble in terms of how we're moving forward. I think a slow and steady growth strategy is an extremely prudent strategy internationally. And I think that growth strategy, being able to feed those resources back into membership and the benefits of membership. I think it's the direction that the organization's going to be headed.
And Mr. Peterson, you have the next question for Mr. Higgins.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Higgins. Thank you for being here and thank you for your previous board service. I want to touch on the international thing again with my question. Do you believe that there are opportunities out there internationally for ICC? And if so, explain the advantage or disadvantage to moving forward to growing internationally.
Yeah, thank you for that. I honestly do believe that there are extremely large opportunities internationally. I think there's particular regions right now, particularly the MENA region, that is really strongly interested in working with ICC and adopting the codes. I think there have been other regions that we've attempted to land some energy and haven't quite been as successful. So I think it's always good to reconsider whether to continue or not in those areas, whether it's sunk cost and the shift gears and focus on other areas. I think right now in the Caribbean, there's a significant push as well. And I think that that's a great thing for ICC as a whole and for the world as a whole. I mean, the mission of this organization is to continue to develop information resources and tools to build buildings that are safe throughout the world. And I don't think that's limited to the domestic vision that actually was originally the concept. And I think it's definitely a strategic opportunity for the organization going forward. What's the point that we also need to focus domestically to make sure that we don't lose sight of providing excellent benefits and continue to develop our presence domestically and our ability to provide codes that even in a polarized environment politically, that certain states may be able to adopt a particular version of a code and others may adopt a different version. I think that there's opportunities there, alluding a little bit to the energy code topic on that one. And then I think the last one is this area of middle housing. I think there's an interesting question there, but sure. Thanks for the question.
Thank you.
At this time, are there any follow-up questions from the committee? Seeing no hands, we'll move on. Next, we have Jessica Foost. Ms. Foost, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Very well. Mr. Boswell, will you start us off with the first question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Fuss, I got a question I'd like to ask you. How do you plan to be transparent to the members while maintaining your duty of confidentiality as a board member?
Sure, I think that's a great question. And, you know, it goes down to, or comes back to the trust and integrity, right? I mean, we have to be, we need to answer to our members. We need to earn their trust. But also part of that is understanding the difference between what's discussed during executive session and what can be shared publicly. So if your membership trusts you and trusts that the work that you're doing in that executive session is for the betterment of the organization and for the members, then I think that, you know, you have to have that conversation with them and say, you know, we are doing this as part of our duties, but we cannot share everything with everyone. So making sure have that clear line.
Ms. Hartwig, you have the next question.
Ms. Foost, when you think of ICC's mission, which value do you feel is most important and why?
Well, thank you. I'm going to have to copy exactly what Jack said because that was my thought, is that integrity and trust. We need to be able to earn the trust of everyone that we work with, and it goes from you know, our members to the states, the local jurisdictions. And I think a part of the trust too, especially with our membership and with our partner organizations and making decisions, is that ability to also be vulnerable and say, you know, we maybe didn't make the best decision on this, or we maybe didn't, you know, we maybe have to look at a different direction. But if you have earned that trust, then it is easier to say that, right? It's easier to say, we need to look at this again and we may need to go another direction for the organization.
Mr. Lorenz, you have the next question.
First, the code professional generally doesn't receive the support to participate in the professional association serving its industry. What can be done to change that? And then given that and the lack of candidates seeking board positions, how would you expand the scope of qualified and diverse board applicants?
That's a great question. And, you know, I'm fortunate that I have the trust and respect of my jurisdiction to be able to volunteer with the state ICC chapter, to attend the ABMs, to do the work that I've done thus far. And I think that there are roadblocks to other people serving, whether it's their jurisdiction, their organization not understanding the value that can be gleaned from doing this work. And so if there's additional resources that ICC could provide to those members to say, to have those, you know, for them to be able to have those conversations with their leadership at their local jurisdiction and say, this is valuable work that we're doing, because it is important. I mean, everyone who serves on the board has to have the support of their jurisdiction. And if we can't communicate well enough as an organization as to why that service is important, then it is going to be difficult to get qualified people that are supported by their jurisdiction to serve on the board or even serve in other capacities within the organization.
And Mr. Peterson, you have the next question.
Thank you. Good morning, Jessica. There is a opinion amongst ICC that if we were to expand the professional background of board members to different levels of say finance or attorneys, that we could propel the ICC organization forward in a much better trajectory. And I want to know, what is your opinion on the board makeup, and if you feel like expanding that board makeup would provide value to ICC?
Sure, that's a really interesting question. And, you know, my background, like I shared in my intro, I do have a master's in public administration, and policy is really one of my passions. And in terms of being a policy making body, it's important that the relationship that they have with the CEO and with the staff of the organization, that you understand both of those roles. So if the work of, whether it's financial or, you know, other background, if the organization doesn't have the staff to provide that information or to provide that expertise, I'm not sure that it's the role of the board to provide that expertise. It's either going out and finding other resources, or it's having that conversation with the CEO and saying, we're not being provided the resources that we need to do our job. Let's look at what that staffing model is on the organization side. Because I do think with the board and what the policy role is that you shouldn't be crossing those lines. So you shouldn't be having somebody who is serving as a board member who's also looking to do any sort of financial analysis of the day-to-day operations or things of that nature. And so we have to be very careful when we're directing staff and directing the CEO on what we want the organization to be doing, that we're not crossing that line.
Thank you.
And at this time, are there any follow-up questions from the committee? Seeing no hands, we'll move on. Next, we have Ben Potoff. Mr. Potoff, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Very well. Mr. Boswell, will you get us started?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Puff, I have a question. Can you identify any new or current trends in the built environment that need to be an interest in ICC?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So two things come to mind when I think of trends that the ICC has to be aware of and really on top of. And I think work has already started in this area, but housing affordability right now is at a crisis level. And taking the information from the study that's being done on the IRC related to housing affordability is going to be a really great opportunity for the ICC to look at evolving the code in a way that doesn't result in any negative safety aspects, but does hopefully contribute to a more affordable path to home ownership or to new housing starts. The other part of that, or the second thing I think that's a major trend we have to be aware of is emerging technologies, and reference was already given to AI, and I think there's a major threat and a major opportunity associated with AI, and so making sure that we're on top of introducing that technology in a responsible way that doesn't degrade the trust we've spent the past 30 years building. We have to make sure that if we're using AI, it's providing good and thoughtful answers or feedback on the inputs that it's given. But we, again, need to make sure that the proprietary information that we publish isn't being diminished by AI interfaces.
Is Hartwig as the next question?
Mr. Potoff, as a member of the Board of Directors, what are the three most important responsibilities that you must fulfill?
Yeah, thank you. So real quickly, the three I think are most important are financial stewardship, membership growth and engagement, and then again, that's a responsible technology adoption and adaptation. So to elaborate on each of those a little bit, financial stewardship, without a strong financial base, the ICC can't to grow. On financial basis is foundational to a good organization. Membership growth and engagement. I think that our membership at 65,000, give or take, is very strong. And I think the global piece is one that can be expanded for membership. I also think with the new launch of code enforcement programming through the ICC, there's an opportunity to further grow the membership domestically. And engaging those members, like Rachel had said earlier, getting them involved in the things that already exist will help us grow to become a more robust and diverse organization with representation across the globe, hopefully. And then lastly, that again, just the responsible technology adaptation, leaning in again to the AI, but also reflecting new building materials and trends in that regard. In terms especially of sustainability and resiliency in the evolving environment that we live, we need to make sure that our codes and evaluation services emerge or evolve along with those new products that are being introduced to the market.
Mr. Lorenz, you have the next question.
Mr. Potoff, what do you believe are the business principles upon which ICC was founded? And are these principles important today as they were in the formation of ICC? And then in what ways would you, as a steward of the ICC organization, exercise a duty of care when considering difficult decisions that will affect the future of the organization?
Yeah, so I'm going to echo the statements of some of my colleagues, but the ICC was founded on trust and integrity. There were three model code organizations that merged in the formation of the ICC, and without a doubt, there were some difficult conversations had at that time, and it would have never been possible without mutual respect and trust. And so I think how I would see myself bringing that to the board is, again, echoing a lot of the thoughts of my peers here, but you have to act with integrity at all times. You have to respect the need for transparency, but balance it with the need for confidentiality when it comes to things, especially in executive session. There has to be, I guess, an umbrella of integrity hanging over every decision we make to make sure that we're not diminishing the trust that we've spent the last 3 decades building.
And Mr. Peterson, you have the next question.
Thank you. Thank you, Ben, for being here. Oftentimes with ICC, with our large membership, as I mentioned before, we have topics that are strongly supported and strongly opposed by different members of ICC. What do you believe that the board of directors can do in this regards, or what do you think their role is in these vast differences of opinions?
Yeah, I think that's, well, start off, that's a great question, and we need to respect that strong opinions on either side really can polarize us, and that's happening in our country right now. And I think to lean into that, the board's role is really to stay neutral, guide those conversations back when we're talking code development into the code development process. That consensus process works. It's worked well for the last 30 years. It's going to continue to work well. The board shouldn't interject their thoughts or opinions especially in code development, unless it rises to the level of a scope and intent issue that would be dictated by the council policies where the board would intervene. Aside from that, hearing and respecting all perspectives is important for the board, and so engaging our membership councils and our chapters to gather that information from the folks that we represent is important, and that's how I would handle some of those polarizing issues.
Thank you. Are there any follow-up questions from the committee?
I have one, Stuart, if I might.
Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you. You mentioned affordable housing. As ICC develops the code, and I believe you're very familiar with the process of that, do you believe there's policies or procedures that the ICC Board of Directors could put in place to make sure that our codes work towards the goal of affordable housing?
Yeah, potentially. I think that with the code development process right now, as it stands, there's an identification of the cost impact of any code proposals. And I think there's an opportunity to have some oversight or review on what those cost impacts are. Right now, I don't see that happens other than on the floor, where somebody might be called out if they provided an inaccurate cost impact. So there might be the opportunity for some oversight in that regard, and the board could direct that activity.
Thank you.
You bet. Thanks.
Are there any other follow-up questions from the committee? Seeing no further hands, we will move on. Next, we have David Molnar. Mr. Molnar, are you ready?
I am, sir. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Boswell, will you please ask the first question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Molnar, do you believe the current makeup of the board is sufficient, or would you recommend to include other types of backgrounds or skill sets?
Well, it's a question we've heard before, and my answer would be that I do believe that the board is made up of those of us that are the voting representatives, and the board represents its membership. That said, I don't know that we've been doing it for 30 years is the right answer. Why change? But typically what you'll see in policy is it does every now and then require somebody to take a look at it. So I wouldn't be apprehensive to taking a look at it, but right now I think that we're representing our membership as our board. So I would stay where it is right now.
Ms. Hartwig, you have the next question.
Mr. Molnar, how do you plan to be transparent to the members while maintaining your duty of confidentiality as a board member?
Again, very good question for anybody on a board. Anybody who served on a board, I think, Rachel, you had the best answer. I'm in executive session. There's a line. I've moved to the other side of it. But I've also been asked this question before, and I think the transparency comes from a balance. And I think a couple of the candidates here today mentioned, if you don't trust me, then you won't think that I'm transparent. And if I tell you, please, you have to respect the confidentiality of some of the things that we deal with, and you do trust me, that will be the best thing. And I've tried to keep that trust with individuals. I've been the bearer of many things on boards. And after the policies have come out and have been enacted and people have looked and said, why didn't you say something? That was not my place to say it. But now that it is public, I will be the champion behind it, and we are full force behind. So I would say the balance is the key to that.
Mr. Lorenz, you have the next question.
Mr. Molinar, the code professional generally does not receive the support to participate in the professional association serving its industry. What can be done to change that? And then given the above and the lack of candidates seeking board positions, how would you expand the scope of qualified and diverse board applicants?
Interesting question. The first one, I've had varying results of running into that. A lot of us all have our bosses and our bosses' bosses that say, get on these boards, be active, be out there. Then the next question is, what do you mean you have to go to a meeting? What do you mean you're doing this again? So I kind of see it as a threefold. There's a time commitment. Can my jurisdiction afford me to be away? There is a cost or a money issue. How is my jurisdiction paying for me to do that? And then there's the value of the purpose. And the value of the purpose is what I originally started out the question, and the answer was that I want you on the board because there's a value to having you on boards. And I think the best thing that we can do as an organization and to help each other is to keep explaining that value so that our bosses and our bosses' bosses believe that. And then the time commitment and the money, there are resources and scholarships and being on certain committees and other things that can help offset that monetary value. But ultimately, you do have to somehow balance, I'm not at work. How am I getting my work done? And that you definitely have to take care of. I don't know if the ICC can help. If they do, I would love to be part of that program. But the qualified candidates, just a few years ago, we had enough seats, or people, I should say, to be in the seats. This year, we have a race. You know, we have more potential candidates than we have seats. I don't know if one equates to the other, but I think the qualifications of our candidates, as you see here today, I'm very proud to be amongst them. I think this is a great group, and I think this gives the membership some very tough questions to ask. You know, who do I want representing? But I don't think there's a bad candidate on the board here. So I don't think that we need to change the qualification of that level just because in some years we don't see people that have said, I think it's my turn and I think I should step up.
Thank you. Mr. Peterson, you have the final question from Mr. Molnar.
All right. Thank you, David, for being here this morning or this afternoon. I guess it is where you're at.
Yeah.
As ICC continues to grow internationally, do you feel the board should, or is there policies that the board could create to protect the domestic hub of where ICC's roots came from?
An interesting way to look at that question. So previously we've heard, you know, should the ICC be out in the international waters? Should we be worrying about what was going on at home? And I was sitting here thinking, you know, where do I stand on this issue? And I would say one of the founding principles of the ICC was to have that resource that we are the go-to organization. So I would say that the concern that we hear, why are you out there in the international when the domestic needs attention? So whether or not we have enough attention at home, we need as an organization to have people believe and see that we have that intention or that attention at home. Then we can expand. We can do both. But if I think the key and the good part of your question there is what should we be doing? I think that deserves some exploration because I think that is how we can expand internationally by letting those back home know that we haven't forgotten you, that you are still part of our core, and that what we do here, we just want to take and we want to share with the world. Not that we all have to build the same looking building or we have the same issues in our climates, but the consistency, the transparency, the innovation, the integrity, accountability, all those things that we founded this organization on 30 years ago, we could share with the world.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further follow-up questions from the committee? Seeing none, I actually want to thank everybody for staying within your time limits. We were concerned that we would have to curtail this if it would run too long, but by virtue of the fact that we are on schedule, at this time, I'm going to allow every candidate, if they would like, there's no obligation to do so, but I will give everybody an opportunity for a 1-minute closing statement. Once again, you do not have to provide a closing statement, but since we do have the time, we are going to include this portion of our candidate forum. So with that, Mr. Boso, would you like to provide a closing statement?
Sure, thank you so much. I just look forward to everyone coming to the ABM in Ohio this year. Can't wait to see everyone. And again, thank you for the time of the nominations committee. I've served on it. I know how much work it is, and it's gotten harder over the years. So I'm looking hopefully forward to doing this in 2 years. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Mike. Mr. McDaniel, would you like to provide a closing statement?
Sure. Again, I want to thank all the nominating committee members that, again, dedicated their time during this new process. I also want to thank all the members that took the time out of their day to log on and get to know each of the candidates on the call. This is truly a great opportunity throughout the process to get to know who the next leaders of the organization are going to be. So again, thank you all. And I too look forward to leading ICC in the next few years. So thank you again.
Thanks, Steve. Mr. Savage, would you like to provide a closing statement?
Yes, sir, and I promise to be brief. I just want to thank you as the nominating committee chair and the entire nominating committee for your time today. I do like this platform. I also want to thank the membership who not only tuned in to watch this, but also those who will watch it later on. Hopefully you got a good idea of who all the candidates are, and I look forward to seeing everybody in Cleveland, and I appreciate everybody's time, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike. Mr. Applegate, would you like to provide a closing statement?
Yes, thank you, past President Tom. Reiterate my words about being thankful. I'm thankful for the nominating committee. I'm thankful for those who may not be involved with the board as much as they used to, doing other amazing things in life. I'm also thankful that we can have this open debate and discussion and interviews. And I'm really impressed with all the candidates today. I think they did a great job, and I think everyone was very professional in the whole process. And so I encourage everyone when they watch online to evaluate, what we said today and feel like that, the candidates are ready and focused on the future of the International Code Council. So just thank you, everyone. I appreciate you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Jack. Mr. Brooker, would you like to make a closing statement?
Yes, I would. I'd like to thank the nominating committee for setting all of this up, for the members who are online sharing this opportunity to get to know each one of us. I look forward to being of service to the membership and to the board, if that's the will of the membership. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, James. Ms. Parrish, would you like to make a closing statement? You're muted. Rachel, you're muted.
I think she was trying to say it won't unmute.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. Mr. Higgins, would you like to make a closing statement?
Thank you, past President Tom. Thank you, nominating committee. I just wanted to say how much I really appreciate this online venue and having the opportunity today. I think this helps breed that transparency that the membership has been asking for. And you're not in person at the ABM, and you don't have the opportunity to see and get to know each of the board members and candidates. I think it is a disservice. So this is a great opportunity. I really, really appreciate it. thank you for having us today, and I look forward to continuing my service on the board if the membership so desires. So thanks for the support, and see you all in Cleveland.
Thank you, Andy. Ms. Foust, would you like to make a closing statement?
Yes, thank you. Thank you to the committee. Thank you for having us this morning. I would just be completely honored to serve on this board. I know I would have a lot to learn, and I love learning. I love solving problems. I love everything that the ICC stands for. So I would be, honored to be any part of that. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessica. Mr. Potoff, would you like to make a closing statement?
Yes, please, and thank you. Thanks again to the committee and for all the participants online. I did pull up the attendees panel here after I finished my questions and recognized some friendly faces and names in there, and received some encouraging messages from friends. So really appreciate all of that. Look forward to speaking with everybody in Cleveland. And if any of the answers I gave today were thought-provoking or anybody wants to connect, don't wait until Cleveland. Reach out anytime.
Thank you, Ben. And last, Mr. Molnar, would you like to make a closing statement?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Tom. I really appreciate everyone's time. Appreciate the committee. I know you put a lot of effort and time into this that we don't see. Again, I love this forum. I think this is great. And it was just said that this helps with the transparency. So all the attendees, if you like what you saw here, please show up on Cleveland on Sunday. There will be the candidate forum where you'll hear more from us again. But as Ben just said, reach out to us. A lot of you know who we are. Ask the questions. We're thought-provoking things is good stuff. And as I said earlier, you all have a tough decision to make because there's more candidates than there are seats. So again, thank you for everyone's time. And I'm limited to a minute, so I'll stop there.
Thank you, David. There's no obligation for any of our committee members to share any thoughts, but on behalf of the entire committee, and I'll see if anybody wants to say anything, but on behalf of the entire committee, I want to thank all of you for taking the time, your candor during today's event. And I do want to thank our committee members. This is a new process, and we have spent so much time getting to this point. So I want to thank you for all of your efforts in helping our members get to know the candidates better. And with that, before I close all of this out to the committee members, if any of you would like to share any thoughts about today. Very good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Tom.
go ahead, Andy.
Oh, I just wanted to thank all the candidates and applaud their professionalism in this process. And I look forward to meeting them all in Cleveland. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, with that, I want to thank everyone. This will conclude this year's Virtual Candidates Forum. Once again, a special thanks to our nominating committee members for their efforts today and to our candidates for sharing their perspectives and thoughtful answers. For those of you tuning in with us, I hope to see you in person at this year's ICC Annual Conference in Cleveland, Ohio. Among the many exciting conference activities, we will be having an in-person candidate forum taking place on Sunday, October 19th, during which you, the members in attendance, will be the ones asking the questions of our candidates. So for any of the viewing members, if there are some particular questions that you felt would help you get to know the candidates a little bit better, feel free and prepared to ask those on October 19th. And with that, thank you again and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.